Tonight, we're turning the dial to 11, diving straight into the static hum of the afterlife, and tuning into real encounters, stories of voices from beyond. These are messengers from the other side, and they're anything but gentle whispers in the dark. These stories don't just give you chills, they bring receipts, eyewitnesses, recordings, newspaper reports, court records. These voices came back for a reason. Some to set the record straight, some to deliver warnings, and others to make sure justice was served. A ghostly father glowing by his son's bed, revealing the location of a hidden will. A noblewoman phoning in from the grave to save her crumbling estate. A spirit hijacking a living girl's body for weeks to reconnect with her family. A pilot whose voice cut through the airwaves long after his crash. And a young woman's ghost whispering secrets to her mother that would lock up her killer. These weren't hallucinations. These weren't hoaxes. These were experienced by families, police, judges, ordinary people, changed forever by what they heard. Are these spirits with unfinished business? Or is something else trying to break through? We'll see you on the inside again.
You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky. An unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality. About time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
Disgusting and unprofessional, Christian. How dare you?
Strawberry.
Welcome back to the Freaky Deaky, everyone.
I would love to know the context of that.
The context of that was, I believe we were talking about Daryl Strawberry.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I forgot we were talking about him.
Yeah, that's the only context I can believe for why I found that, but I knew.
Such a beautiful swing.
Sure. Anyway, folks, if you're new to the show, find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. You can also rate and review the show. You can do that right now. You could pause this show right now and be like, you know what, Scott, I'm going to take you up on that. And I might not even be an asshole and give you 1 star. I might give you 5.
You have to pause to rate it?
If you want to focus, yeah. If you want to focus on what you're doing and really type something nice, yeah. Yeah, pause the show, guys. Come on, show a little respect. All right? It's not that hard. You lost maybe 14 seconds, unless you're rating 1 star and trying to think of something witty. And I promise you, you're not.
Isn't it funny that, like, you could be completely right when you rate something low, but it just never sounds witty?
Well, that's because these people are, again,
these people
not creative.
It's just
they're not creative.
It's just negativity is negativity.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a weird vibe, you know. I'm fine if you want to rate it one star, but I'm also fine if you fall ass backwards into a black hole. You like that, you piece of shit?
Let's not start.
We're not going to get into that again. You can hear the rest of that at the outro.
I just want you to think of, not you, Scott, just in general, Thumper.
No, I'm tired of Disney references on this clearly grown man show of ours, Christian. We talk about ghosts, for Christ's sake, all right? Doesn't get much more mature than that, all right? We're talking about the afterlife, especially in this episode, if I can pull it back around.
We're going to see.
We're talking about voices from beyond, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit in Sleep with the Lights On, if I remember correctly, but this is a little different. And one of these stories I feel like was super familiar, and it might be the first time in the show's history where we doubled up on a story, but I don't think so, because I was searching. I'm like, did we touch on this, or is this just kind of similar to something we did in the past? I don't know. You guys tell me, you diehards out there, you that live and die by the deek, huh? You gonna live and die by the deek? You gonna tell me? You tell me if this is repeated. Who cares? Honestly, get out of here. I don't have anything else to add. So I already said socials, website, merch, donate. holler.baby/thefreakydeaky if you want to buy a shout out for a loved one or promote your business or make Christian say weird things. Truly is that simple. Just visit holler.baby/thefreakydeaky to get started for as little as $9. We're going to start things off with the Chaffin will ghost of North Carolina. So in Davie County, North Carolina, in the summer of 1925, James L. Chaffin was a farmer. stubborn as they come, who died 4 years earlier after a nasty fall on his front porch.
How do you have a nasty fall on your front porch?
Christian, as someone that has had a nasty fall off of my front porch, I think you'd be pretty familiar with that.
Actually, I would say that was just a stumble and not actually a fall,
Christian,
and definitely not nasty.
I have video evidence. So your daughter and I laughed so hard at that.
I laughed so hard at that.
Multiple times.
But did I hit the ground? No.
You did not. No, you did catch yourself, but I'm pretty sure you threw some Thanksgiving leftovers.
No.
You threw something into the grass. I know that much.
No, I did not.
You absolutely did. We found it the next day.
I disagree.
There were some rolls or something that made their way into the lawn. I'm just saying, cut James a little slack, okay?
Maybe I just don't like the way my daughter makes rolls, and I threw those out on purpose and made it look like I fell.
Projecting. It's fine.
But you can post the video.
I honestly don't think I have it anymore.
It was
I don't
not
know
a
where
natural fall.
It was a great video.
Or a nasty fall. It was just a stumble.
It was funny to look at. We can say that, and that's fine. That's fine. There's a video somewhere on Facebook of me almost eating shit while taking the trash can back. You know, winter is a hard time out here. There's plenty of places to slip, I promise you.
I've done it many times.
Yeah. And now that
we're back.
Yeah.
We're back.
It's cool, guys. This is the 80% of the show that is not on topic. The 20% is coming in hot. Buckle up.
Voices from beyond.
Yes. So anyway, he had a nasty fall on his front porch. He left behind a will from 1905, handwritten and legally sound. In it, he left his entire 420-acre property, smoke 'em if you got 'em, house, barn, fields, everything, to his third son, Marshall. He cut out his wife, Susan, and his 3 other sons, James Pinckney, John, and Abner. So Marshall inherited the lot, no questions asked. The rest of the family? Well, they were bitter and barely scraping by. Fast forward to June 1925, and James Pinckney, known as Pink, was 35 at the time, married with children of his own. And for a string of nights, something strange started happening. He'd wake in a cold sweat, heart racing, certain that his father was standing at the foot of his bed. The figure was unmistakable. James Sr., dressed in a black overcoat, pale and glowing like a lantern through thick fog. He never spoke, just stared, silent and unblinking. Then came June 25th. Pink woke up at 3 a.m., the same ghostly figure at his bedside. But this time, the silence broke. In a voice rough as gravel, James Sr. leaned in and said, "You'll find my will in my overcoat pocket." Pink hadn't thought about that coat in years. It had been boxed up in a closet at his mother's house in Moxville, 10 miles away. The next day, Pink rushed over, dragging his mother and brother John with him. There it was, the old black overcoat, stiff with dust. He tore open the lining, which had been sewn shut. Inside was a small, rolled scrap of paper. It read, "Read the 27th chapter of Genesis in the Big Bible." Genesis 27 tells the story of Jacob stealing his brother Esau's birthright. Family betrayal. It was a chapter James Sr. often quoted in life, and now, apparently, in death. They raced to the old homestead and opened that massive family Bible that James Sr. had kept on display. Tucked inside that chapter was another will, dated January 16, 1919, just 2 years before he died. In it, James Sr. made a clear correction. The property wasn't just for Marshall anymore. He wanted it divided equally among all 4 sons. And the signature confirmed by handwriting experts in Davie County court records. Marshall's widow tried to challenge it in court, dragging the matter into a full-blown trial, Chaffin v. Chaffin, December 1925. But Pink held firm under oath, swearing that his father had appeared night after night, pointing him toward the truth. The court upheld the 1919 will, and the land was divided. Pink told the Charlotte Observer in 1926, quote, "He sounded urgent, like he'd been waiting 4 years to set it right." But the strangeness didn't end with the trial. A neighbor, Mary Johnson, swore she'd seen a figure in black walking near the Chaffin barn a year before the drainage began. His coat flapping in the wind, then vanishing in an instant. Susan, the widow, remembered hearing heavy footsteps in the attic months before Pink spoke up. She thought it was rats until things started to add up. In 1927, a tenant digging under the porch unearthed a rusted knife with James Sr.'s initials carved into the handle, right where Pink claimed his father had pointed in another dream. Even a local preacher stopped by in 1932 to bless the house. He heard muttering from the parlor, saw a rocking chair swaying on its own, and fled the house. Church logs confirmed his visits. No seances, no mediums, just a dead farmer who wasn't done until his boys got what they were owed. Today, the land's been divided and sold off over the decades, but locals still say Old Man Chaffin is out there, somewhere on that land, keeping watch. Now, is James Chaffin back from the grave to fix his legacy? Or was Pink pulling off the ultimate ghost-fueled con to rewrite the past? What do you think?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you. The listeners, believe it or not, cannot respond. Just yet. In time.
I didn't expect that question. It's a good story.
Well, you can just give your thoughts on the story, too. You don't got to answer the exact question.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's fascinating, but I found it kind of fascinating. They had handwriting experts
In the early 1900s?
which I guess makes sense because I think there were some in the early 1900s in Europe. But
You don't think some American farmers can also have handwriting experts? Is that what you're saying? You think they're beneath the European handwriting experts?
I'm saying that their handwriting expert was probably just someone that worked for
held
the
up
court.
2 sheets of paper to the light and was like, yeah, it looks right.
Yeah,
These look like they were written by the same person.
which is probably every handwriting expert back then.
I think even now, probably. You look at stuff and you're like, yes.
But then again, anything with like that where someone becomes an expert, they do see it differently. I'm not an expert on handwriting. I can barely write myself.
I have great penmanship.
What do you think of that story?
I think it's fascinating. Creepy.
Why?
Why is it creepy?
No, I found it fascinating. This particular dead person picked that part of the Bible, and it mentioned that he talked about that a lot. Did he get wronged by his brother at a younger age?
I'm not sure if he was a pastor as well.
That reminds me.
Yes.
Finish that, but remind me about the pastor.
I am not, like, there was a couple different versions I saw of this story, or like looking into it, there's a couple different people saying different things. And one of them, that Genesis 27 was something that he liked to preach on a lot about birthrights and stuff like that.
Weird again.
No, it's not too weird. I hear a lot of pastors preach on Genesis 27.
I just find it weird that you have to preach on birthright. I think birthright's stupid.
You think birthrights are stupid?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you don't get Christians' thoughts on many things, plain as day. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so some people said that he was also a pastor as well as a farmer, and then this one just made it sound like he wasn't a pastor, and he was just someone that really loved the Jacob Esau story, that is kind of strange.
That would be kind of strange. There's so many better stories.
Sure. Joseph and the Dream Code.
I mean, that's
where I got my middle name, so if you're going to talk shit.
I hear it's a great play.
Yeah. That's another same animation style as the Prince of Egypt. Not too many people talk about that one, though. Joseph and that one was actually a really good movie as well.
I think I've seen that one.
That one's good. I like that. And it explains my life. Thanks, Mom. You couldn't have named me Solomon or something? Give me maybe a leg up on things?
You'd be evil then.
Yeah, but I'd be wealthy as hell.
Okay. But before we move on.
Yes.
Somebody brought a preacher out to that house to bless it, but he saw the rocking chair moving, so he ran away in fear. That's a person that should be defrocked. Yeah, if you are you're supposed to go bless something and you run away in fear over a rocking chair,
yes,
maybe you're in the wrong line.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
maybe he wasn't expecting it, though. Maybe it was like one of those things
there's
where
no
he's
excuse.
like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I'm out.
If you lead a church, part of the job title is you might have to deal with a demon, right?
Sometimes.
You can't run away from a swaying rocking chair.
Interestingly enough, speaking of dealing with demons, a lot of pastors don't talk about that stuff, but I feel like a lot of pastors actually do deal with that stuff. When I was at the apologetics class, teacher of it is Pastor Jonathan Walker, right? And he just nonchalantly, kind of in like a tangent mode, and he started talking, and he was like, I was dealing with someone was talking like demonic oppression, like dealing with someone with spirits and stuff like that we were taking care of a couple weeks ago, and my head just immediately peaked up. I'm like, oh man, I want to hear these stories, dude. And I want to say that's the dude that main pastor at Church on the Rock. I don't really know how it's going right now, but back in the day, Jake said he talked to someone from Church on the Rock that said they'd be down to come on the show and talk about demonic possession. And I think it might be him. So it might have ended up being the dude that was teaching my apologetics class.
I guess you better talk to him.
Yeah, he's a great dude too.
Yeah, I'm sure
he'd be so
he is.
Fun to have in studio.
I mean, obviously he's wrong because there aren't demons running all over the place.
There's that,
But I'd be willing to listen to him tell me why there are demons around every corner.
Sure. Well, you're in for a treat because the next 2 episodes we're dealing with demons. I believe next week we're touching on the 4 stages of demonic possession, and then after that we're doing the schizophrenia episode. So,
schizophrenia.
I know that you kind of made it a thing to be wrong on this show, but you have no idea how wrong you absolutely are.
I feel like sometimes it's wrong. No, we'll save it for that.
Yeah.
We'll save it for that episode.
That's fine. Get out of here. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and hit the old dusty trail on that one. Hey, literally it says, let's leave the dusty farmland. Beautiful foresight.
The dusty farmland that's been bought up and...
Okay, yeah. So let's leave the dusty farmland of North Carolina behind and travel to a windswept island off the coast of Tuscany, Monte Cristo.
Tuscany.
Italy.
I know.
I just wanted to make
Why
sure
did you bring up Monte Cristo? You know what I mean.
Monte Cristo.
Monte
is
Cristo.
a great visual in my head.
I thought he was French.
You're thinking of the Dumas's famous revenge tale.
The Count.
Yes, of Monte Cristo. This is an island off the coast of Tuscany, Monte Cristo.
Mount Christ?
Mount Christ, sure. So anyway.
Or Christ Mountain?
However you want to say it, however you slice it, it's fine. No, not the sandwich, and not just the backdrop for that Count of Monte Cristo movie that you clearly ruined my next couple of sentences. It's fine. This is a real island, isolated, rugged, and mostly uninhabited. But in 1968, it became the scene of one of the strangest, most chilling hauntings Italy has ever seen.
I'll be the judge of that.
I don't know why you would be the judge of that, Christian. You're not Italian. If anything, I should be the judge of that.
Dude, I've heard your Italian accent. We'll go on with story, Mario.
Mm-hmm. Yes, me. No, it's fine. The only people living on Monte Cristo at the time were a married couple, Carlo and Rosetta Mancini. You're welcome. Yeah. I dare anyone else to say that better than I just did.
Mancini.
Okay, yeah. Hella flat, Christian. Hella flat.
This isn't Inglourious Bastards, man.
It's fine. It's an emotional language, Christian. The Italians are an emotional people.
Too emotional.
Yeah, I'm living proof of
the
that.
language, not Italians.
Both. It's fine. I can say it. I'm Italian.
Oh my gosh.
They'd been hired by the Italian government to serve as caretakers for a crumbling centuries-old villa perched atop the island's cliffs. Think drafty halls, antique furniture, and not a soul for miles except for the occasional bird or ghost. They had no electricity, no phone lines, just a shortwave radio they used to check in with the mainland once a week. One stormy night in late October, as thunder rolled across the sea and wind screamed through the broken windows, Carlo heard a ringing sound.
Tinnitus.
Nope, that is what we hear day in and day out, but not Carlo, and not on this stormy evening. Not a bell, not the wind, a phone. But they didn't have a phone. He followed the sound to the study, where Rosetta stood frozen. A dusty rotary telephone, one they had assumed was broken and decorative, was vibrating on the wall. Ringing. Carlo hesitated, then picked it up. The voice on the other end was faint, crackling through the line. Feminine. Aristocratic. She spoke fluent Italian, but with an old-world inflection, like a noblewoman straight out of a black and white film. She said only this: "Get out. The fire is coming." Then the line went dead. Carlo laughed it off at first, probably a weird shortwave bounce, maybe even a prank, but Rosetta was shaken, not stirred. No. She recognized the voice. James Bond reference has no place in this story, Christian, and how dare you even bring it up?
Oh, I was thinking of something else.
Okay, I'm not going to ask. For months, she'd been having vivid dreams of a woman in Victorian dress pacing the halls of the villa. Rosetta called her La Contessa, or the Countess. She said the woman would whisper warnings in a language she barely understood. 2 nights after the call, they were awoken by smoke. A fire had started in the basement near an old coal stove that hadn't been used in decades. The flames climbed fast, devouring dry wood and tearing through the lower floors. Carlo and Rosetta barely escaped with their lives. By the time the mainland fire crew arrived by boat, the entire eastern wing of the villa was ash. After the fire, they refused to return. But the story made headlines in Italian papers. "Villa haunting prevents tragedy," they read. A local historian stepped forward and claimed the voice matched descriptions of Countess Elisabetta Corvini, who had lived on the island in the 1800s. She was known
Wait a second.
Yes.
What year are we in the story? The 60s, right?
Ugh, no, I have to.
Don't worry about it. I know it's the 60s or much later than the 1800s. How does somebody know
68.
what her voice sounds like if she was in the 1800s?
Description. The local historian stepped forward and claimed the voice matched descriptions.
Oh, okay. Descriptions. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. Sorry. I
Wow.
apologize.
Your skepticism showing a bit too fiercely there, Christian.
I do find it fascinating that somebody could describe my voice and you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, that sounds just like him.
Yeah. If I heard you talk for 5 years straight into a microphone, I could definitely do it.
You could describe my voice and somebody else would hear it exactly how you heard it.
I could mimic you 100%.
Is it that bad?
No, it's just easy to do. You know?
Good. I don't want to be difficult.
People that can mimic people have no problem mimicking people, you know?
I just never thought that you could describe a voice and then somebody years later sounds just like her.
Everyone describe Christian's voice. This is where all the single ladies are going to come through and be like, it's sexy and gravelly as hell.
That would be nice.
He is single, ladies. Do I need to remind you? He needs someone to convince him ghosts exist. All right? It's fine. You get really weird with that. I'm not going to. Yeah, so anyway, voice match descriptions of Countess Elisabetta Corvini, who had lived on the island in the 1800s. She was known to be fiercely protective of the estate and had died in a mysterious fire herself. The kicker, the telephone had no wiring, no connection to anything. It was purely ornamental. Investigators confirmed it had no means of function, no power, nothing. To this day, the island remains closed to the public. No one's lived in that villa since, but sometimes hikers on nearby islands report strange lights flickering in the windows. And one yacht crew claimed they heard a woman's voice on their radio frequency repeating over and over, "Attenti, il fuoco torna sempre." Nailed it, dude. Fucking nailed it.
How long did you practice that one?
I just read it right now. It says, beware, the fire always returns. So, was this a ghost's warning? A time slip, or just an echo from some darker place pushing through static to save 2 lives? Christian, I'll let you answer that beautifully.
It's some
Present your
form
question.
of telepathic communication.
Okay, you're going to need to expand just a little further on that.
Well, this message is obviously coming from somewhere, and if, let's just say, we trust everybody that's involved in this story,
Let's say it.
I don't necessarily think that it's a ghost, but if the past can communicate with us, it would seem like some kind of telepathy to me. And a lot of times when you hear ghost stories or something like that, not everybody hears the same thing other than, the normal sound you see in scary movies or some crap like that, or typical from stories. But if people are talking, not everybody around hears the same thing.
So are you saying that this was a living person that telepathically told these people fire was coming?
No, you don't have to be a living
You're
person.
saying a ghost telepathically said it.
I don't know if it's always a ghost, though. What if it's just somebody from beyond or from heaven or something like that, just communicating?
Well, I mean, at that point, we're splitting hairs. We're talking about someone from beyond. It could be whatever you want to call people from beyond.
They're not all ghosts, though. Ghost is going to haunt you. It's going to be walking around your house after they died in your house.
Ghosts aren't real, Christian.
Oh, that is true. But
so you can't give them job descriptions now. You can't say this is what ghosts do.
Yeah, but you
they
also,
don't exist.
If somebody, a loved one or somebody that cared about a property so much, is communicating from beyond the grave, it's not just. It's easy to call it a ghost, but there's different levels. If you're not hanging out around on this plane, then you're not really a ghost. You're just a spirit.
Kind saying the same thing.
Kind of,
words
but I think people that are used to how I describe things understand what I mean here. If you're a new listener, maybe you don't understand where I'm going with this, but there is a difference there.
No, that's what everyone
Let's
feels.
focus on this ghost.
It's not a ghost, though. You just said that yourself, Christian.
Thank you for supporting me in this argument.
Yeah.
So either way, I have a changing view on telepathic things lately, and probably in the next few weeks, you'll understand why.
Made it up, you made it up. Cristo, you made it up. That shit you just said right there, pulled it right out of your ass and made it up. Made it up, you made it up.
I think in this case, you're wrong. I didn't make it up. I'm just asking that we rank different entities based on their hierarchy and their place of dwelling 90% of the time.
Their place of dwelling, like the multitudes of heaven?
I mean,
are we saying that?
do you think spirits communicating from heaven want to be called ghosts? Probably not, because they got their wings and they've moved up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just fucking with you
Wow. Wow.
But you know what I mean.
I understand the gist of what you're saying here. I am not sure that either of us could even fully form the proper.
I also don't think this is the time and place for that argument.
Sure.
Because we have other stories to go.
Yeah, we do. No, we got plenty of demon stuff coming up, Christian. We're going to have plenty of time to piss people off with the religious debates.
We won't be debating. Demons aren't real.
It's fine. It's fine, guys. We're going to go ahead and, you know what's really interesting about this episode? And then I think, next week's episode, 2 stories. I had 2 of the exact same stories in both episodes. So much so that I didn't realize what I was working on. I was like fleshing things out differently with a different frame of mind. One being demonic and one being voices from beyond, that I ended up with the exact same story twice. And as I was reading them both today, I was like, oh, I can't do that.
I'm just a little pissed that I woke up early to try to work on shit. And you're like, I got a couple episodes.
Oh, did you have anything prepared?
Kind of. But
See, that's not very confident.
well, because
I can't have kind of.
I like it. I think it's fine.
We're going to take next week off because I'm not going to dox us too much, but we're going to that Tom Segura show. So we're going to take that weekend off. Then after that, that'll give you a couple weeks to flesh it out, make sure it's good and ready. And then we'll do yours as well as the schizophrenia one. And then from there on, we'll start TFT the musical and After Dark again and get more of those under our belt.
I also have a 2-parter coming up.
A 2-parter, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, damn it. Anyway.
I can't stand that song.
He goes through phases. He comes back to Mickey like once every 6 months. He's like, I want to watch Mickey. I'm like, okay. Anyway.
I think his current favorite has ruined Mickey for me.
Yeah.
Like, this writing is horrible.
It is pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's very rough. Very phoned in. Anyway, we're talking about the Watseka Wonder. Ever heard of that? This was going to be on the Possession episode. So, yeah, you may have heard pieces of this because I feel like it sounds familiar to me too, but I don't think I ever touched on it. And this is from Illinois in 1877. So this takes us back to the 19th century, 1877 to be exact, to a quiet little town called Watseka, Illinois. At the time, it had just a few thousand residents, mostly farmers and shopkeepers, the kind of place where everyone knows your name and your business. And that's why when 13-year-old Lurancy Vennum started hearing voices...
What was that last name?
Vennum. Vennum.
Still a symbiote.
Yeah, and the first name, Lurancy. Weird. Just weird. Lurancy.
That is weird.
I know. So
I read a lot, and I read a lot of old stuff. I have never heard that name.
Lurancy, maybe.
Oh, French Canadian.
Perhaps. And that's why when 13-year-old Lurancy Vennum started hearing voices, falling into trances, and speaking in strange languages, the town took notice. It began in January. She told her parents that spirits were visiting her at night, hovering at the edge of her bed. They were calling her name, inviting her to come with them to a, quote, beautiful place. Then came the seizures, the fainting spells, the long, silent stares like she was looking through the world. Doctors were called. They had no idea what to make of it. Some chalked it up to hysteria, which, of course, was the default diagnosis for any girl with emotions back then, and even current day if you ask Christian. But while others feared she was slipping into insanity, it's funny saying that about you, though. But for the new listeners, they're going to be like, oh, this guy sounds like an asshole. So it's kind of funnier now, you know?
Is it, though?
Well, others feared she was slipping into insanity. But one physician had a different theory. Possession.
That's not a physician.
Sure it is. He suggested the Venoms consult a man named Asa Roth.
I'm struggling with that name. You need...
The Venoms?
Yeah.
Someone with experience in these matters. Asa was a spiritualist, part of a movement that believed in communication with the dead.
What's this person's name? Asa?
Asa Roth.
That one sounds familiar.
And Asa had something even more interesting to share. His own daughter, Mary Roth, had died in a mental asylum 12 years earlier.
Oh, so he was a jerk.
You a jerk. I think we should bring back mental asylums, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, we should bring back people dumping their children off
Sure.
to be tortured and suffer for the rest of their lives.
Wow. Someone has very strong opinions on this. And the other one of us is right. You decide. Anyway, she was 18 at the time. Same symptoms, visions, voices, trances, and she had lived just a few houses down from Lurancy. When Asa and his wife visited Lurancy, they were shocked. The girl's demeanor changed instantly. Her voice softened. Her eyes widened. And then she said, "I'm Mary. I've come home." Over the following weeks, Lurancy, now fully identifying as Mary Roth, moved in with the Roth family. So weird that you could just be a 13-year-old kid and be like, I live with these people now. See you later, Mom, Dad. She knew everything about the Roths. Pet names, family secrets, hidden belongings. She could mimic Mary's handwriting. She recalled events from childhood, things Lurancy could never possibly know. Neighbors who had known Mary were stunned. Even Mary's childhood dog, still alive, old and mostly blind, recognized her. Not quite the flex you think it is if old and mostly blind, but it's fine. The nose probably still works. And the Venoms? They were completely baffled. Their daughter would occasionally come back, often tearfully, saying she missed them, but it was always brief. Then Mary would return, calm and composed, claiming she was, quote, borrowing Lurancy's body until she could move on. This went on for 3 months. Then, one spring morning, Lurancy woke up, fully herself, and said simply, "Mary's gone. I'm back. No more seizures, no more voices," and she lived a long, quiet life afterward. Got married, had kids, never had another episode. The story was documented in real time by multiple doctors, spiritualists, and even skeptics. In fact, it's often called, quote, the first well-documented case of spirit possession in American history.
It's not.
Wow. Christian, you just think you have all the answers, don't you?
On this one, I know that that's not
That's
the
what you
case.
say about everyone, though. I'll call you out and be like, well, on this one, it's for sure.
Okay, I guess it's everyone just about.
Yeah, there you go. Turns out I was right about everything the whole time. The question remains, was this truly a case of spirit possession or an elaborate dissociative identity episode? Could a small town girl have truly just been living in a lonely... No. Could a small town girl have absorbed enough gossip and memory to fool an entire family? Or did Mary come home? Or did Mary really come home? And if spirits can borrow the living, how often does it happen without anyone noticing? Food for thought.
I can tell you right now, if spirits could borrow the living have okayed them. Have been okay with it, based on my knowledge.
Wow.
Which I know some people be like, you have no knowledge, but stuff Took
the words right out of my mouth.
Things I've read over time. If someone like Mary comes in and like, I don't agree with this. Obviously, I made my opinions known with some of my dumbass comments.
You don't say.
But I feel like the key to this whole situation is in the seizures.
Wow.
I don't know what would cause the seizures.
Wow. So you're just throwing that like right out of left field. You're like, it's got to be the seizures, and you're like, I have no idea what it could have been. But
well, I mean, there's so many things that can cause seizures in children. It's fascinating that this was a short-term thing where she experienced these seizures, and then once she got past the Mary thing, she stopped having seizures.
Where would the explanation come for the knowing everything about the daughter, knowing about their life, knowing about all these things?
I think that part you said earlier in the story, where everybody
Small
knows your
town.
name and business,
but that daughter died 4+ years ago or something like that, and so that would make this girl like what, 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, but a girl or a boy or any child sits at the feet of their parents or their elders from a very young age and pick up stories that they have no clue where these stories came from because they've just been hearing them so long. So she could have picked up some of the gossip.
Sure, but I don't think you'd retain that for 4 years and then like verbatim be able to recite it all back. I think
wait a second. I swear on other episodes you've told me how infallible some of the people we talk about's memories are when they're dealing with certain things. But now you're going to tell me she couldn't retain these memories that just
if this
naturally...
is just random conversation, no, you're not going to retain that. This isn't something traumatic that like is embedded in your psyche or your soul. This is a random conversation boring adults are having around you. This isn't something you're going to retain, and then 4 years from now you're going to be like, now's the time for me to whip it out and pretend like I'm their daughter. Like, that's insane. Like,
That's what I'm saying. That's why we need to see what kind of, we can't obviously because it's the 1800s, but it'd be fascinating to see what is the cause of these seizures, because I think that's the key.
But we've had like walk-ins and stuff like that, right? Like, we've had stories of, well, we haven't done an episode on it, but I think people are familiar with the idea of walk-ins, right? You're familiar with that, right?
The closets?
Yeah, walk-in closets, you know the old things.
Christopher?
Yes, both. No, the fact that spirits can walk in and inhabit a body.
What I'm saying is, spirits, if they did that, they are not just going to take over a body.
Do you think there has to be a ritual where, like, you're welcomed in like a vampire?
I think that the spirit could communicate on a level with our subconscious and get permission to do that. Because if they didn't, then they should be in your demon episode that's coming up soon.
We are. I was going to say we're encroaching pretty close to the 4 stages of demonic possession.
So there would be a difference, I think, in this case. In this case, because there was times in the story where she's like, where we find out that Mary's just there until she passes on. So it doesn't sound evil. It sounds maybe from people observing it on the outside, not understanding, including us. It sounds like someone's taken over the body, but we don't know what really goes on in our subconscious and what our subconscious is capable. Maybe our subconscious is communicating with friends and family from the past all the time.
Perhaps.
How would we know?
We don't, which is why you guys are here. You tell us your thoughts. We're going to go ahead and get into this next one. It's called Dead Pilots Radio.
Ooh, I can tell. This feels Twilight Zone-y.
Static. That's how it always started. Tucked away in a sleepy village near the Yorkshire Dales, there's a place where the hills rise like the backs of sleeping beasts. A place where, on fog-thick nights, radios crackle with voices that shouldn't be speaking. In the 1980s, a shortwave radio enthusiast named Harold Price claimed he stumbled upon something impossible. A voice transmitting from an old military band long since retired. At first, it was just a whisper, chopped syllables, a rhythm that didn't match any modern code. Then came the name. Flight Officer Hargrave requesting bearings. Fuel at minimum. Repeat, requesting bearings. A voice from another era, looping the same desperate message like a needle stuck in the groove of time. Digging deeper, Harold learned about RAF Flight Officer Edward Hargrave, a young pilot whose plane vanished in 1944 during a routine return to base. His lost radio contact ended mid-sentence.
Which part of the world are we in?
England.
Okay.
The wreckage was never found. But now, decades later, his voice was still clawing its way through static, somewhere between the clouds and the grave. Price recorded the broadcast, tried to share it, but the signal was elusive, like it knew when it was being hunted. It would disappear when others listened, only to return when he was alone. Some believed it was a residual energy caught in a loop, a phantom broadcast echoing across time. Others said Hargrave never crashed, that he stuck in a perpetual flight, flying blind through the fog of death, forever calling for home.
People that come up with that idea are just wrong.
Pretty dark. Whatever the truth is, if you turn into the right frequency late at night near these hills, you might hear a voice asking for bearings. And if you answer, God help you. Spooky little tiny one.
That's just cruel not to answer. Anyway, I have a quick question. So he tried to record what he heard, but it didn't necessarily turn out.
Yeah, and it seemed like whenever he tried to show other people, it would disappear, and it would only come back when he was alone.
So
he was losing his mind, clearly, and hearing things. No.
I mean, obviously that could be one answer, but I think we've spoken about how some people can pick up things, like you included, that say other people, like me, can't, whether we want to or not. So what if this person, and maybe we can do this with a lot of ghost hunting sounds, that you can only truly pick up something within the frequency or within the static if you have a connection that allows you to do that. So like maybe I couldn't hear it, Or if
So
it
you're
would,
saying that me and people like me are
not even necessarily
gifted,
people,
would you say?
not even you and people like you, but people that have the ability that are a little bit more sensitive in that aspect, and that if that message is for them. Let's just assume, because this message can't be shared according to the
Yes.
person telling the story, that
So
this message is only for this one particular person that discovered it.
it seems like it'd be a weird thing for that one person if there's nothing that one person could do to actually help. You know?
Sometimes you can't help, especially the past. Like, people are always worried about the past, but you can't do anything about it. So
Yeah, you can.
sometimes you can just listen to the stories about it and give people comfort.
There's been multiple movies done about going back and fixing the past.
Yeah.
And it always works out great. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Just barely missing out on a paradox of some sort every time.
yeah. Isn't that nice?
I mean, that's
At one
That's
point, I was
how
going to do an entire episode on crazy paradoxes. I think now that we've expanded the show out a little bit, I could actually do it. But those also mess my brain up a lot. When I'm looking into them, I'm just like, oh, man, okay.
those are the best ones.
I know, but it's just too much for me sometimes at night after hitting the pen 50 times. You're like, oh, God, what? It's
Do
fine.
you ever track some of your notes after hitting the pen 50 times?
No. I will say this, that I have fantastic ideas.
Me too. And some of them actually,
Some of them do pan out in the future. Yeah, some of them I'm like,
that's like
maybe let's not talk about this again.
the Notes app in your phone is brilliant for those great ideas, because if you wake up the next morning and it's not so great, you're like, okay, whatever, man.
If I was a multi-billionaire, actually probably 100,000-aire, I'd be able to do it as well. The amount of notes and show ideas I have for this podcast and the media company surrounding it, endless. Literally endless. I don't know where the end of it is because I have new ideas constantly. And I'm like, at some point, I'm going to flesh this out. When I have money, when I have time, and when I have sanity, once again, we're going to build this out.
I am right there with you, especially lately, because I've figured out how to flesh out some of those ideas or some of those notes I threw to the side, because I'm like, this is fascinating.
But I'm not even talking like episodes. I'm talking like actual shows. Like I have full-on shows ready to be produced, written out, entire plot lines, entire everything ready to be done. But I do not have the time to do them.
Oh.
And that's the downside. It's like we have so many show ideas that we haven't even started yet. But I'm saying that is just barely scraping the surface, because underneath that is a million more.
I get that though. I got the same thing. It's like the one, you're a very creative person. I am limitly creative, and it tends to do with stories and ideas like that. So mine is more like, I always wanted to be a writer. I never practiced, but so I have all those little ideas, and with what we do, there's always potential. There's just not enough time.
Yeah, and you don't give yourself enough credit, Christian. The people I know, you and I jokingly shit on a lot of what you do, and I think you know that it's jokingly
Sometimes,
but the majority of the episodes that you put together, people are actually really thrilled with, and people are very happy with that. And so you should wear that like a badge of honor. You shouldn't be like, well, hopefully this is good. You should be like, yeah, I came up with something that I think is going to go great.
When I hear that stuff, that feedback, I'm like, okay, because everything we work on, there's like, sometimes we're like, will they get it?
Yeah.
Will they get it like I feel like it?
And I've never once shit on your writing ability or storytelling or anything like that. I shit on your delivery.
Oh, it's hard, man.
Yeah. And that's exclusively what I shit on. Nothing else. I think you come up with great episodes. You deliver those episodes very poorly. Okay.
I just got to do more of it.
Yeah, that's it. And, once you get more confident with delivery, then
I'm confident. It's just hard to speak.
Okay.
I speak all day.
Exactly. And do you have issues with it?
No, I think I'm tired sometimes. Like today I was sitting at work and I'm like, it was so busy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I can speak after this.
And here you are.
It was different, I think, when I was slope worker, because I didn't have to speak before we recorded. But now that I have, I work 8 hours most of the time before we record, and my job is just talking constantly.
You would think that would get you prepared.
It does, but also
smooth you out.
Maybe I started finally feeling something that people at radio stations or that do audio episodes do, where it's too much
fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue. And like today, I feel great because I slept a lot the last couple days.
Must be nice.
It's only an extra hour, but that's a lot for me.
Sure. We're going to go ahead and close it out with the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier, speaking of speaking fluently and perfectly, the Greenbrier ghost of West Virginia.
This one sounds familiar. But there's a lot of Greenbriers.
That is true. Most of them aren't even green, if you can believe it.
They're just briars?
Yeah.
What is a briar?
I believe it's a bush of some kind.
I know it's a bush, but I can't picture it.
Is it spiky? I think it's a thorny brush, maybe?
Where's J.R.R. Tolkien when we need him to over-explain something?
He's up there in heaven waiting for us, Christian.
Dude, I saw such a funny meme on that today.
Of J.R.R. Tolkien waiting in heaven for us?
Yeah, like...
That is a very
It was
direct
a meme about these guys. You die and all your friends are there. And J.R.R. Tolkien is the guy that runs the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Wow. Very sacrilege saying there's going to be Dungeons and Dragons in heaven, Christian, but okay.
There would be because it's not the devil.
No.
It's not the devil.
I'm not saying it's the devil. I'm saying be hard pressed to find our Lord and Savior playing Dungeons and Dragons and other witchcraft. You sinners, all of you. Just kidding. I know. Oh, shots fired. Everyone's shooting at me now. Chill. These are opinions. You have them. I have them.
We
Christian
don't persecute true Christians here.
Okay. Anyway.
Just Christian.
If I may, some ghosts scream. This one testified.
Like Aretha?
Yeah, I was going to say it was a black ghost. Oh, interesting. Racist. Canceled. Oopsie. It's fine.
Oh, I could say this.
Yeah, I can say it because I have a black father-in-law. Yes, I have an out. Finally.
Actually, it's a little closer than that.
My son is part black. I can say it.
Yeah, please delete all this shit.
No,
really.
These are the thoughts.
Okay, throw
Christian.
it at the end.
This is the end. I'm getting through the last story. Christian, we have these discussions all the time, and no one is offended.
I also don't want everybody knowing the intimate details of our ethnicity.
That you're part black? Are you ashamed of your heritage, Christian? I wear my part blackness like a badge of honor now. I'm part of it. My son is part black. My wife is part black. That makes me. I'm part black.
You've culturally appropriated.
Yeah, I don't actually believe in cultural appropriation either. I believe in celebrating culture.
I don't believe in culture.
Ooh, well, look at that. We're getting on some hot topics. It's fine. If we can get back to the non-racial segment of this story. It's 1875 in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. A young woman named Zona Hester Shue.
Dumb name.
Wow. That's a little hurtful, Christian.
You can be hurt. What year was this?
1875.
Yeah, whatever. Come at me, ghost.
Come at me, ghosts. Was found dead in her home.
Oh, very tough ghost. She's already dead.
Yeah. Wow. I thought you were going to be a little apologetic about coming in so hot. And then when I said she was dead, you're like, fuck this lady. She's dead already.
I'm so scared.
Oh, yeah. Body laid out at the bottom of the stairs, neck limp as wet cloth.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Oh, sure. Now. Yeah, now he comes back around now.
Sorry, Zona.
Her husband, Erasmus Shue.
Oh, that's even worse.
Erasmus, yeah.
What is wrong with... Oh, that's like a Greek name, though, isn't it? I'm going to be like the Greeks. Name my kid Erasmus. He's going to be a great Democrat.
I want to remind you that your grandson's name is Atlas.
That is the best name ever.
It's a little close to the Greek stuff now.
You're sharing too much. Don't put his name on here.
People know his name, dude. We've said it a billion times. He met someone named Atlas the other day, all right? He met an old man named Atlas.
He wasn't old. He was younger than me, and I'm not old.
Okay, Christian, we're not even...
But he had a lot of kids.
That happens.
Well, when you're Atlas holding the world up, you must be very, very virile.
Okay. Get to know a lot about this person. Anyway, her husband, Erasmus Shue, claimed it was a tragic accident. She'd fallen. End of story.
I made her fall.
But her mother, Mary Jane Hester...
That's much more normal name.
Didn't buy it. Yeah, you like Mary Jane.
Hester.
Said she felt something wrong the moment her daughter died. That grief came fast, but something darker followed. Then, 4 weeks after the funeral, Mary Jane woke up to find Zona standing at the foot of her bed. Pale, livid, eyes shining like candle flames. The ghost spoke. Zona said her husband had murdered her in cold blood, snapped her neck in a fit of rage, then dressed her corpse carefully, trying to hide the damage. She even revealed specific details, bruises, breaks, the position of her head, etc., and then she was gone. Mary Jane took the testimony seriously enough to demand the body be exhumed. The coroner found exactly what the ghost described. Her neck had been cleanly, deliberately broken. Shue was arrested, tried, found guilty of murder, And to this day, it's the only case in U.S. history where a ghost's testimony was officially entered into evidence. In the hills of Greenbrier, folks say Zona still watches over those who cry for justice. And if you're ever standing where she's buried and feel a cold breath down your neck, maybe it's not the wind. Maybe she's still whispering the truth.
Maybe she moved on after she outed her killer.
Maybe it's Maybelline. Nobody thought about that, though, huh?
I did. That was the first thing I thought about every time. Maybe it's, because I grew up with that.
Or Tresemme, ooh la la.
I did not catch that one. I know what Tresemme is, but I never heard that one.
I'm your Venus, your whatever. There's so many women's jingles.
I'm your Venus. You say that like you don't even know what that's from.
I know exactly what it's from. It's from the Venus stuff. The razors.
No, that is from a song.
Yeah, that is the song that's played for the Venus razors. That's what I had to deal with growing up. And I got yelled at by my sister because I thought it would be funny to say, I'm your penis. And now, who's the clown, all right? It's you, my sister. I have a very somewhat successful podcast, all right? And you are making me fly to California to see you get married again, all right? One of us loses.
Scott?
It's me. I'm the loser here.
Scott?
Oh, and now I have to get a new ID.
Scott?
Oh.
Scott?
Actually, when this comes out, we're already back from California.
I feel like you like misery.
Maybe I just like company. Never thought about that.
Maybe.
Nobody
So what you're
considered that?
saying is you are misery.
Yes.
Okay. Could be worse. You could be Miss Misery.
There you have it, folks. That's all I have.
I'm a little too old to bring out that song reference, huh?
It's been done many times over.
By me?
There's also Miss Array. There's Miss...
Never heard of that one.
I think the Deer Hunter did. I think Brent
Deer
Walsh
Hunter?
did. Yeah.
What's Deer Hunter? The movie?
Yeah, I think the movie Deer Hunter made a song called Miss Array.
There is a band called Deer Hunter?
DEAR Hunter, yes.
Okay.
The singer from the Receiving End of Sirens split off of them, made a band called the Deer Hunter, and made phenomenal music, and still makes phenomenal music through that. And then I think the other one was Mystery, and that might be I the Mighty, before Brent Walsh got all those sexual accusations against him, like all my favorite musicians seem to do. It's fine, guys.
Maybe they should keep it in their pants.
Have you tried being a rock and roll star, Christian?
Yeah.
And a man with a brain?
Yeah.
And a wiener? It gets difficult.
You can't have a wiener and a brain.
Well, only one can work at a time, but you can have both. It's fine. Guys, this is not a biology lesson on the ins and outs of men. You already know most of that, I'm sure. What this is a closeout to an episode that has gone on for far too long at this point. And
I
with
had
that,
fun with this episode.
It's a fun episode.
I'm sorry if I was rude to what's her name. Nobody
cares. Honestly, nobody cares.
She don't care.
She's dead, yes. The people that actually enjoy this show do not care if we're quote-unquote rude, because they know what they've listened for so long that they know us as people at this point, and they know that we're joking. And if you don't know us as people and don't know that we're joking, then listen to the rest of the show and then make your decision. And if your decision is to fuck off, you can do that. You can do that. It's fine.
Sometimes I don't know if Scott's joking. Help me.
Yeah, it's fine. A lot of this is a persona, and that persona is me. So, yeah. Good times. Anyway.
It's actually not you. We've established who you are in Daria.
Okay.
Bring that one back from like season 1 or 2.
It's been in videos recently.
Oh, has it?
Probably. I don't know. I haven't touched videos in a long time. But that's beside the point, folks. Wherever you are, we are with you in spirit.
Telepathically.
We can be with you via the magic of the internet. If you follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod, stay active in those comments. Give us your thoughts and stuff. And just remember, if they're shitty, I'm going to be shitty back to you. Capiche? And guess what? Your boy has no one to be shitty to in his life. So I really take it out on people. Okay? 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 Okay. Goodbye. Next week, we're talking about the 4 stages of demonic possession, which I'm not entirely sure that I believe in. So it's an interesting episode for you to tune into if you want to hear us argue about stuff.
How are you going to argue about something? Are you just going to argue for the sake of argument if you don't believe in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's done, Christian, in a professional environment. I don't have to fully have conviction in everything that I'm arguing for.
Oh, so you want to be a part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I said. Word
You'll
for word.
Be like the rest of the world.
But anyway.
At least those on TV and on, well, you know.
Wow.
I don't believe in this, but I'm going to get my likes out of it.
Wow. Yep. Classic me.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night. And the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian. You love a can of beans. And you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong. It's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Your name is Christian. Your name's ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you. Your name is Christian. Your name's ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Also, ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you.
That's
Okay,
kind of my
man.
thing.
Sometimes-
But see, I'm trying to be better at it. I'm trying not to be that guy.
I
But
just
every
can't
time I see something, I'm like, ooh.
I just can't believe you let some things get to you.
It's not getting to me. It's me literally just giving my thoughts on it. And does it come off aggressive? Yes.
Yeah, a little too aggressive, man.
Does it make sense knowing me as a person because I've let the people know who I am for the last 5 years? Does it make sense that it comes off aggressive? Yes.
I just think you'd feel better if you just let those people go.
Is that a Prince of Egypt reference?
It might be. I don't know. I've never seen that movie.
What?
I've probably seen it with China or Christian before, but
It was back when the animation, that one animation style that everyone loves, was like pretty heavy in the late 90s.
yeah, that's like
Hmm.
the rejuvenation of animation, though, that time period.
Yeah.
So I get why that movie's kind of popular,
It
but
was good stuff.
that was right before everybody's like, holy crap, we can make a lot of money with this.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, now it's changed the style completely.
Dude,
Fix
I don't
it.
know. I just was in tears, embarrassed up from an animation show, and I was just happy to hear somebody else got that way.
Look, everyone cries watching Bluey.
Dude.
Everyone. Me, when I'm like, Atlas, we'll be watching it together. He'll look up at me and be like, what? I was like, you wouldn't get it right now. It's okay. It's touching. It's touching, son. And that's fine. Shout out to Australia. Majela. Good eye.
I wish I could even come close.
Wow. Well,
What would you wish for if a genie? Okay,
oh, God.
I don't want to hear your wish, but if a genie came down and gave me 3 wishes,
Uh-huh.
I'd be like, I want to be able to read and understand any language that's ever been spoken.
Okay.
I want to be able to speak. Did I say read and speak?
You said read. Could have combined those into one
Yeah.
wish, but here we are.
Yeah, read and speak.
Oh.
You got 2 wishes.
Okay.
And then some money, of course, just so I could.
I thought we were
Practice.
going to go in like an Australian direction because we were just doing Australia riffs.
Because
I thought
then I
you were
could
gonna
do,
go-
if I could read and speak in every language,
It's English. style.
as a little side note, asterisk, I could use different accents,
Oh,
Which-
interesting.
which would be very useful in our line of work
Sure.
if I could pull it off.
If that's what you're into,
Oh,
by all means.
My third one would I could sing.
That's easy. Anyone can sing. I tried telling your daughter that. It's just knowing what key you're in, what range you got.
If I could sing the music I want to sing and sound like I want to sound, I don't care what range. I want to be able to do all the ranges. Okay, sorry.
That's fine. I can sing like pretty much any artist that I really love, but if I try to write music and sing in that style, it doesn't work. It's really interesting. I don't know how. I talked to my producer in California a while back. I was like, bro, what do I sing in? He was like, C major. And I tried to do that and it doesn't work.
I don't
like,
even know what C major is.
Hey, you're talking to someone who doesn't know what it is, but he told me, so yeah, no, I don't even do that anymore. I just talk about ghosts and shit. Flat, just flat, plain English. Beautiful. That's fine. I originally wanted this just to be a brief, 30 seconds saying, hey, fuck that guy.
I just
and then
figured
it turned into a lot more.
I think you should throw it at the end. I don't think
I
should.
have to now because everyone that would have tuned into the episode would be like, oh, 10 minutes in, you guys are finally talking about the voices from beyond. Very great. And that's fine, whatever.
That way they always get something, or the people that like us always get something entertaining at the end. And it's
sure.
So it's like a
more work for your boy.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. More work for me. It's fine. I don't really edit the end stuff too heavily or at all sometimes. So I guess now that we got that out of the way, we can get into this episode for once. Damn it. The end of this little tangent here that goes at the end also has a lead into the intro music that we can't use. So people are going to be like, we'll see you on the inside. And then it's just going to be us talking some more because we're not on the inside. We're on the outside of the outro. So it doesn't even make sense anymore. We're lost in time and space.
Dude, I'm so lost.
That's
I'm
fine.
not even in time or space. I'm in a converted garage.
That is true.
But I'm lost.
I guess I will use the cold open then. That might be the easiest way to go. Now that I've alienated all one of our audience members.
I'm pretty sure that's not an audience member. Like, you just wasted your breath.
Oh, well, that's fine. I guess not. That's all out of the way.